think Ryan and I, we owe the Bengals fans an apology here. In our last video for last week, we said Jake Browning, the perfect game. That is the best the Bengals could ever play. And we were wrong. We were wrong. We are two honest guys that apologize and put it out on the internet. So I think that owes a little bit of, I think, some thank yous. And so I'd like to subscribe for our honesty because you guys played absolutely phenomenal. You guys are well within the playoff hunt right now, tied now with one of 16th in the AFC. And I actually just can't believe how deep the AFC is in general. But Bengals team look legit. Obviously Steelers suck, so I think that they're going to be able to take their spot. And then if I look at it as well, if we look at the rest of the division, Houston Texans right now they're going to be going up against Tennessee Titans, but CJ Stroud's in the concussion protocol. That'll be unique.
Also, Take Dell and Nico Collins will not be playing this week.
Yep. Take Dell's done for the year. Denver Broncos. They are the Broncos. They're playing significantly better, but it is still, I think, overall firepower. I still kind of want to lead to the Bengals here. So it's like we could have been more wrong going into that week because they actually beat the crap out of the Indianapolis Colts. But just because there's so many tiebreakers, Bengals are still on the outside looking in. And now if you are the Vikings on the flip side, actually, for this game here, that's going on Saturday, Minnesota Vikings are also 7-6, but the NFC is much worse than the AFC, and the Vikings are actually the 6th seed here. Josh Dobbs actually ended up getting pulled out of the game. Nick Mullins came into the fourth quarter and led the game-winning drive, field goal drive. That were the only point scored during the game. But honestly, actually, more importantly,
matchup.
I know. But more importantly in that game, though, Justin Jefferson was taken to the hospital after a hit to the rib. So his status overall will have to be monitored all week. If it was some sort of kidney thing or just a liver shot or broken ribs or whatever it is, that's going to have to be monitored here. But right, when it comes to this game here, what are your overall thoughts, especially then too, on how the Bengals played today?
I mean, I think the Bengals, Jake Browning has come in and hasn't really missed a beat. I mean, I think he's thrown for almost 600 yards, 5 touchdowns to only 1 interception in the last 2 games. Yeah. And he's completing, I think, over 65% of his passes. He looks really good. And it definitely helps to be throwing the ball to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Irv Smith Jr. That is probably a big part of this as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's pressing all the right buttons. He's getting it to the right guys at the right time, making the right reads. And I think on the flip side, I think the Vikings, they had a little bit of a hot stint there in like kind of the middle of the season. They started out, I think, 1-5 and then won 4 straight to get back to 500. And I think since then,
actually, I think they won more than that in a row.
Sorry, they started out 1-4, then they won 5 in a row, and then they're 1-2 in their last matchup.
That's so weird. I pull up just the Vikings homepage on ESPN, and you see all of the scores, and then 3-0.
3-0. Yeah. And so I don't know. I just kind of feel like they're like barely eking these games out, and when they play teams that are like potential playoff teams, like the Raiders are not a potential playoff team. The Bears are playing like a potential playoff team, even though they're kind of out of contention. They lost too many games while Justin Fields was hurt. Denver is in playoff contention. But then like the Saints, Falcons, those teams are on the fringe of being – they're not in real playoff contention. They're in contention for their division because both those teams are below 500 at the moment. Yeah. The Packers, they beat and then they were able to eke out a win against the 49ers as well. And I just feel like they're able to win these close games, but I think when they play teams that actually have a lot of firepower on the offensive side of the ball, they really struggle. And so it's going to be an interesting matchup, I think, because
outside of the game that they just played, which was the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, well, I think that matchup was kind of destined to be low scoring because both the defenses are really good.
Well, it's a lot of props to Brian Flores because honestly, actually, this defense isn't really that good talent-wise.
No,
if being honest. But I love his philosophy, though, is like, okay, well, it's like, if you're going to score on us, you're going to have to throw the ball here real quick because we're sending 6 guys, and you only have 5 guys to block us. So you better get rid of the ball quick. And I love that mentality just because of with the lack of talent that they have on the defensive side of the ball. I feel like a lot of
specifically in the secondary.
Yeah. Exactly. I feel like a lot of defensive coordinators would maybe instead of actually only rush 3 guys so that they can have more guys in secondary. But then that would just allow teams to pick them apart. And I love, honestly, that Flores is like, screw that. We're just going to send a bunch of guys. And that's one of the things here going to this game with Cincinnati, that if there is a way I think that they can win this game, is it is Jake Browning. It's not Joe Burrow. If you send a lot of guys and make them have to make these quick reads, and also historically as well, it is the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line that have not been particularly historically great. They're definitely improving overall. But if they're going to want to win this game, but obviously they want to win this game. If they want to give themselves opportunities to win this game, they're going to have to keep that mentality and hope that Jake Browning makes a wrong decision, doesn't get Jamar Chase in time, that he stops Joe Mixon. Even Chase Brown, now the rookie running back from Illinois, had a 54-yard screen touchdown pass.
He was
today.
booking it.
I know, he was quick. Yeah.
He was flying.
Yeah,
but
no, he's about as fast as us.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I was going to say, the one thing with that I was really impressed with Brian Flores was just the creativity of all the blitzes. I mean, Aiden O'Connell, granted, he's a rookie and he hasn't seen a lot of NFL blitz packages yet. But like, there were a number of blitzes that I hadn't seen like previously in that game. Like, guys were coming from all different angles. He was overloading one side. I remember there was one play they had of the 5 offensive linemen, 4 blitzers came from the right side of the quarterback, like from the center to the right. They had 4 defenders on 2, the right guard and right tackle. And it's just like, to be able to create those types of matchups is just insane for a defensive coordinator to be able to do. So that I want to give props to Brian Flores there.
Yeah. It's in the another thing though, so like with praising Brian Flores, I'm just curious how Kevin O'Connell is going to figure out a game plan, especially too if Justin Jefferson is out again as well.
Yeah,
how they're going to score against this Bengals defense, which is over the season has significantly improved, turning into that kind of stout Bengals defense that we're used to seeing, especially on that front 7 as well. I just think it's going to be extremely tough for whoever's at quarterback, especially the 2 that don't have Justin Jefferson, to have that same offensive explosiveness that we're used to seeing the Vikings have. And I think that's another fault as well, though, too, that because of how explosive those skill position players are, is I think another fault the Vikings have that we talked about in the preseason is just their offensive line also isn't particularly that great as well. They can't run the ball against any team. So, and then at the same time, they're not going to be able to, they're going to have to try and find time to throw the ball as well against the Cincinnati Bengals secondary, just to try and get it to Jordan Addison or TJ Hawkinson. They're like their key skill position players, especially the 2 if Jefferson is out. So it seems like just a horrible matchup for the Vikings overall. And the Bengals, as I said to open this up, we were completely wrong overall on how this team would perform without Joe Burrow. They've played great, and I mean, Jake Browning is seeming like a constant professional. He's looking like he might be working his way into a contract, a potential starting job next year. So we'll just have to see. Or maybe Joe Burrow was the problem the whole time.
Yeah, maybe. But that's I just think this is going to be really interesting because I think Zach Taylor did a good job today. This Colts defense is no joke, and he did a good job of scheming up plays to kind of spread out this defense and make it really hard for them to blitz guys. So let's go ahead and get into our predictions here. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I, we have a unique goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. So that would put us at 2,000 subscribers for the calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, we would very much appreciate that. Tyler, if it's not obvious already, who are you picking in this matchup?
I'm going to go with the Bengals here. This first game on the fun Week 15 Saturday games here at 1:00. It just the Raiders defense played well. Yes, give them credit, but the Bengals defense I think has been consistently better than the Raiders defense, and they're going to be able to provide the same amount of pressure. They're going to have, I think, a similar performance from their linebackers, similar performance, I think, also actually probably better performance, I would say, from their secondary. I think the Bengals secondary is a little bit better than the Raiders secondary. And then at the same time, too, they're going to be going up against a much more competent offense than they did against the Las Vegas Raiders. And so Jake Browning is proven that he's already just significantly more experienced and more poised than Aiden O'Connell is. They've got just as many weapons, if not more weapons. I think they can be more creative offensively as well. So it's just a tough matchup, I think, for the Vikings overall. And the Bengals here, I think they're going to win. And then if our prediction is right for the Colts game, the Steelers lose, they're going to bounce over the Steelers to get into that wild card spot.
Yeah. So I'm going with the Bengals as well. They are. They're just a better team here. The Vikings, I think, are reeling a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. I think they've kind of shown their hand, and all the cards at this point in the season are out on the table. Like, you're not really going to be able to really surprise people with anything. You're not acquiring new pieces. You could maybe throw a trick play in here or there, but that's about it. And with the Bengals, I think, especially without Justin Jefferson, they are significantly more talented than the Vikings. So yeah. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. We're both taking the Bengals in this Saturday NFL matchup. So if you have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and help Tyler and I reach that goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. This is my Ryan lock of the week. So just go ahead and put the Cincinnati Bengals in the comments. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.